Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you guys is not too tired or sleepy after the lunch. But today we will have a very interesting discussion with our esteemed panelists here. So I think before the session starts, I want to set some of the background of our topic here. So I think we all know that Indonesia is a big country. We have a 275 million population, but Indonesia is not Jakarta. We have so many people in Java Island, so half of the population is here. But there's also like people that lives in 400 regencies and also 93 cities which have a unique characteristic. And to better understand and analyze the diverse location, we categorize them into tiers based on various economic and demographic factors. According to East Ventures Digital Competitiveness Index, Tier 1 cities include Greater Jakarta area, Surabaya, and also Bandung. But beyond these cities, Indonesia also have opportunities in smaller non-metropolitan cities like Medan, Makassar, and Yogyakarta. But it is important to understand that middle class is not only present in Tier 2 cities or Tier 3 cities, but actually it's all around Indonesia. From locations like Jakarta into small cities like Kendari in Sulawesi. So today we're eager to delve deeper of the consumer behavior, explore opportunities, and gain insight from the leading companies like TipTip, UENA, Fore Coffee, and Sociolla here. So I think to begin with, I want to start with Alvin. So UENA has done impressive work in serving Greater Jakarta area middle class through delicious, affordable meals with a memorable customer experience. So in your perspective, how should businesses position themselves effectively to serve middle class customers?
Yes, so thank you everyone for coming here and grateful to be here with the exceptional speakers as well. So for us at UENA, we are serving affordable daily foods as a daily solutions for the mass market of Indonesians. So we believe that serving the emerging middle class is almost like targeting a moving target, right? So the most important thing is actually to be sensitive into the direction and the degree of the movement of the trends. So in food itself, we see there's actually two trends. Number one, there's the existing trend of dining out, which we believe even the middle class are already doing right now. So for the dining out, as they are moving from middle class to aspiring middle class, they aspire into something better, into something, better experience, better quality, something. But also there's the second trend that we are seeing is basically there's a shift from the customers who used to be cooking at home and now they are starting to actually buying their food and also dining out. And from us at UENA, we see actually the second trend is quite interesting because it's a very big opportunity and a very big quantity itself. So one thing that we might not realize actually in Indonesia, it is we have the lowest ratio of the food eaten outside versus cooking at home. So in Indonesia, it's only 1 out of 4, like 25%. So we believe that actually as the people and as the consumers are moving into the middle class and also, a lot of other different trends, dual income lifestyle, a smaller house as well, people are going to get more and more keen to actually buy their food outside, and that's the trend that we are seeing. And that's also how we actually segment our menu to actually capture both the markets. One is actually for the daily food, which is more like functionals. They care about the value for money and also the portions, but also another is also for the aspiring lifestyle where they want to something that is actually nicer and better experience.
I see. So like we need to be more sensitive to understand how the actual middle classes shift their behavior in consuming. And
Yes.
for UENA, it's actually people will be more keen to eat out. I think that's very interesting.
Yes,
And I think in Fore Coffee, we had the opportunity to see the behavior not only for the customer in Jakarta, but also in Tier 2 cities, Tier 3 cities, many locations which I never been to. So I'm very interested to understand from Matthew's perspective. So how's the behavior of the middle class customer in one city to another? Is there any clear differences, and what is the go-to market to tap into these customers?
Okay, so how's everyone doing? I see some of you enjoy Fore Coffee. Thank you for that. And my name is Matthew. I'm here to explain what Elisa said is about how is the go-to-market strategy. So let's start that. We basically start the brand in 2018, starting in Jakarta for sure. And then, of course, followed by the other big city like Medan, also Surabaya. And then in 2022, we were in 30 cities back then. And obviously, it's, I would say, the journey of expansion in Tier 2 and Tier 3 is starting. And we kind of like bringing this affordable premium concept into the Tier 2 and Tier 3. We understand that Indonesia, they drink coffee like water. You know, like everybody drink coffee, I think up to 6 times. And especially with the rise of the Gen Z drinkers, I'm sure you guys can relate now. So there are more than 10,000 coffee shops, especially coffee chain in Indonesia. But we don't see any of them provide a high quality coffee within the affordable price. So we are here, want to capture that gap to provide a high quality coffee within the affordable price, which we call it a premium affordable. And we, right now, operating more than 210 stores across 41 cities. So from 30 cities to 41 cities, of course, we bring the mission to redefine the new coffee culture for everyone. When we started expansion in Tier 2 and Tier 3, we understand that we carry a high duty, not only just introducing the coffee quality, but also to bring the new coffee culture. We know that by doing the expansion in, let's say in Makassar, or let's say Medan, or even Yogyakarta, I hope if you can see the screen, so we prepared the picture and also some videos, so you can actually see what happened with Fore Coffee in the specific cities. We know that customer is into good values. It's not only focusing on the price, so I think value is very important. And the characteristic, I would say for the Tier 1, they really, they worship the westernized culture still, and the technology penetration is actually good. Tier 2 is almost similar like Tier 1, but the problem with Tier 3 is they kind of like price sensitivity, I would say. To capture that is, to give you some context, Fore Coffee price is very consistent. We sell in every, basically same price in every city. So what's, from the uniqueness and also the holistic customer approach is very important to make Fore Coffee is one of the profitable coffee brand. For your information, across the all store, we reached the 99% of the store profitable by this year. Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So also like the experience, I think what I get from your explanation is like the customer actually crave for value. So
Exactly.
It's not for the, you know, the most affordable price, but the best value for a customer. And it
Correct.
is actually people in Tier 1 city, Tier 2 cities, they seek the value from Fore Coffee.
Yes, exactly. So if I may add, is beyond just value, I think it's also important, since my background is focusing on marketing, is to localize the brand approach as well. Because the current competition, especially when we enter the second and third city, there's always been the price war. There's always been the price war. And we are, as a sustainable and also artisanal brand provider, we actually go beyond just provide a promotion on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Understand that you know, we have multiple channels such as offline, online. Online meaning we also do have an app also, and then there is a food delivery. There are 3 brands in Indonesia currently that's normally attracts customer with a promotion. But here we bring the story to them. This is the coffee. There is a nice story about the farmer and everything. So they become very resonant of the what we bring on the table.
That's a nice segue to Paulina, which like the product, when we talk with UENA and Fore, the presence when we expand to Tier 2 to other location, there need to be like an offline presence. But with TipTip as a digital product, at the day one, you already tap into like all these customers. And interestingly, I think whenever I open TipTip app, there's always an event, I don't know, in Jogja or in Banten. So I think it's very unique. And I want to understand, like, how do you see actually the insight of the key differences in digital consumption among customer in different tiers of cities?
Sure, thank you, Elisa. Hi, everyone. I'm Paulina from TipTip. So maybe before I answer your question, I'm gonna do a little bit of data dumping here. So just to give a perspective of how unique it is, our tier 2 and tier 3 in Indonesia. So I think everybody knows that our population is about 270 million, so it's huge, right? Earlier someone said it's 9 times of Korea, so it's huge. Now imagine around 70% of those populations seated in tier 2 and tier 3, where I think you both know, especially 70% of malls in Indonesia is in tier 1. So there's a contrast there. Supplies, majority is in tier 1, but then there's a lot of demand in tier 2, tier 3. And then GDP of Indonesia, just slightly over 50% is in tier 2, tier 3. So, and then another data that is also adding some contrast here is that 80% of Indonesian is already penetrated with internet. So actually it's easier to access even someone in tier, if there is tier 4 even, right? So now, just one more data about communality. So there's a data saying that globally, how people appreciate communality or being in a group, globally standard is about 54%, how they appreciate. In Indonesia, it's 75%. What does that mean? Is that most Indonesians love to be in a community, in society. So it's a lot of math I'm dumping, but what I'm trying to say is that outside of tier 1, there's a lot of demand, there's a lot of high-touched market that already have internet, but they are in a very less modern of tier 1. They love communality. So for TipTip, we are technology-based platform and we don't have retail presence like Fore and Sociolla. So what we do from day one, because we know of that, we have team that's seated in tier 2, tier 3. It doesn't have to be a store, it doesn't have to be a massive store, or sorry, a massive team, but it's very important, if any one of you understand tier 3, it's very different contrast of say Jakarta or even Surabaya. It's lower pace, people laugh together, people listen to each other, so influence from friends is very, very important as opposed to just seeing ads digitally. So for TipTip, how we can have events, Salatiga and Situbondo, that's namely very, very small city of Indonesia. We do actually have team, say in East Java, West Java, just circling around and spread the words and then teaching 1 to 10 communities that at the end of the day, they're gonna spread the words about, how it is easy using TipTip to monetize the activities within their communities, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so like when we wanna enter the other tiers, offline presence, it's really important.
Somehow, yes, in Indonesia, yes. I don't know if you guys agree, but yeah.
We cannot just like do performance ads in Kendari and hopes like people will turn up, right?
You can, but then they will just see. It'll be much more effective if stay friends saying it, hey, I've used this, or hey, I've drank the coffee from Fore, hey, I've shopped in Sociolla, then their friends will definitely go, as opposed to just see, so that's tier 2, tier 3. It's very communal, it's very high touch, and you just have to balance so then you don't have to spend a lot of money because it's huge, but yeah.
That's also interesting since I mentioned Kendari, and I know that Sociolla has a store in Kendari, just open. And if you don't know Kendari, it's in South Sulawesi, right? So it's a capital of South Sulawesi. So maybe like 2-3 hours flight. And if we visit there, actually there's not too many retailer company that already expand to Kendari. So my question to Santi is, have you seen beyond the obvious, and can you share like Sociolla's expansion strategy?
Okay. Well, since the beginning, we always believe that, especially in consumer market, especially in beauty industry, experience is very key. So although we started as an online e-commerce platform, we always believe that, for sustainable growth, you cannot rely on aggressive promotions or digital presence only, but you have to have the tangible experience with the customer, right? And with that in mind, we actually launched our first omni-channel store in July 2019, so 5 years ago. We have 2 stores in 2019, and now today we have 78 stores across the country. not only in greater Jakarta area, but we also already tap into secondary city and third tier city as well. Like as you mentioned, Kendari, we also available in Makassar, all cities in most cities in Sumatra, Kalimantan. We are in Pontianak. We also in islands like Bali and Lombok as well. And although the number seems very high, like 78, and I think we opened 5 stores this month only. And it seems like in a very rapid speed, but every store that we open, every cities, even the secondary city and third tier city, we open with confidence. Why? We have been in this industry for almost 10 years. We are actually celebrating our 10 years anniversary next year. We have been collecting a massive and rich amount of data from a consumer, Indonesian beauty consumer. And this data is very unique because we understand, we kind of like collect not only just the normal consumer profile, like your age, location, all, but we also collect their behavior, we see their preferences, we see their beauty profile. So we actually, not only we know what is their preferences or what do they buy, but we also can predict like this kind of consumer in which area, what kind of beauty preference that they like, with what kind of brands that they will love. If you like this product, what kind of products that you will buy next. And if you have this skin problem, that what can we offer to you? So we can really personalize and tailor the offerings that Sociolla has online and offline to our customer, which is, I think that's the key thing, right, about beauty. Like that's the beauty of beauty. The segmentation is very unique. It's not about like you're in middle class or like in upper class, but for example, people like a young teenager in Jakarta might just started to learn about makeup, and then maybe there's someone living in Makassar, like in their 40s, just started to expand their makeup knowledge, and they're looking at the same product. They might follow the same influencer, for example, and you know they might have the similar skin problem. Maybe not the teenager and the ladies in the 40s, but you know someone living in the big cities and someone in the eastern part of Indonesia. We can see that they're actually looking at the same product. They're actually shopping the same assortments, and it's very unique because you cannot really see the segmentation only based on the economic status and location, but it's deeper than that. And with that data, actually that's how we execute our expansions. So here you can see that we have a few stores that we just recently opened in third tier city,
wow.
Palu, and maybe if you go back to the previous one, that's the one, this is the Kendari one. This is a very unique format of stores because we are actually placed in the lobby of the malls. And the thing is, every time we open the stores, there's always lines.
Yeah.
It's not just because Sociolla as a brand, but because we really give them the assortments and offerings that they really want.
Yeah.
This Kendari one, we went there. I didn't, but the team went there, and there was a very crowded, right? And the unique thing is the top 10 brands that was, you know, the highest selling brands. Some of them are very niche, and it's like premium Korean brand that I wouldn't expect that it's gonna be selling in Kendari, right? Yeah. And Kendari and Palu, fun facts, on the first day of opening, they actually become the #1 stores for Sociolla in terms of sales across the nation, like compared to Jakarta, Surabaya, and all. So there's a buying power, but it's just like how you really cater them correctly.
Give them the value that they are looking for, and we almost always underestimate the buying power and the interest of customer in those cities. But actually, like through this panel, I think we can understand that there is a lot of opportunities in Indonesia, and it's not always in Jakarta, but in other places as well. And we talk about like offline expansions. I also want to learn from Alvin, because like F&B is almost like location is the most important factor. And when you talk about like UENA, there's almost a shift of the offline expansion strategy. And I want to learn from your perspective, what is the most important characteristic of location, and how has this transformed over the years?
So basically for us at UENA, we are actually serving daily food for the daily usage of the mass market of Indonesians. So with that in mind, our main target is actually to be as close to the customers as possible. So that is why we are not in the malls right now, because for our target markets, even paying for parking is a luxury, right, in the malls. So basically, the locations that we chose is not even in the primary road, in the secondary road. So we are actually looking in an area where the local neighborhoods are actually really having their activities. Usually, there's like the wet market, there's the apothec and etc. So we open the locations there. So that is actually, we believe, where we are able to enter ourselves into the real lifestyle of the customers. So for the offline, of course, as I mentioned, right now the middle class, they also already aspire in terms of the experience, but also we believe that our locations become the daily community for the local areas and the people in the neighborhood.
Yeah, because like I think for F&B, almost always like you find which location has the most foot traffic in the mall, and then like to open nearby a wet market, I think it's a big no. But then like we can understand that we have to be close with the customer and understand what's actually appeal to the customer the most. And I think during COVID, there's a transition of people going outside the mall most, right? So I think
yes.
that's very exciting. And I think we tapped on it a little bit during your first section, Matthew. But then, like, can you share, like, what do you think is the main decision driver for middle class customers? And when we talk about value, let's double click on that. What kind of value then, like, us as the business should give to the middle class customer?
Okay, great question. So I think let's talk about the price sensitivity, about, especially in the second city on third city. I totally can relate what Santi said. Performance was so great in Kendari, right? And then to give you some context, one of the largest store Fore own is we operate in Manado in state of Jakarta. It's one of the largest flagship with the highest performance ever. So talking about the values, price cannot be just the main factor, but we quarterly do some research. We call it like brand health tracking. So every quarter we got the report. There are three key main drivers for Fore Coffee. Number one is values. Number two is quality. So they kind of like expect to have a better quality. And then number three is basically the price. Yeah, and then those are the key takeaways. And then to give you some context, in the second city and the third city, the average basket size and also the numbers of transaction is kind of like higher compared to the tier one, surprisingly. So I wouldn't also expect that the performance would be so good there. But I think, on the second city, on the third city, they're really crafting to have a good product, And then within a good product, we know that this is, something that very sustainable, because even though that the digital penetration is not there yet, but they actually very contributed for our offline store. So just like you mentioned, most of the flagship and also medium store are located in the second store and third store. And then Paulina was right that they like come into a group instead of individualist, because that's why the basket size is quite big for Fore Coffee in second city.
Yeah. And Pauline, you mentioned like how people in the second tier, third tier city actually believe their friend better than the ads. Can you give a short explanation on how to actually, as a brand, like we tap into that customer?
Maybe it will be easier for me to explain by a video, so that everyone can see, especially if you've never been to tier 2, tier 3, even tier 1. Like, what do I mean by community, or how can they influence each other? So maybe we can play the video.
Yeah, sure.
And so if you see, this is just an example of how people do their hobbies together. So basically, tier 2, tier 3, they like to groups, and within what they like to do, and within that groups, they have activities, be it offline, be it online. So what we do in TipTip is we make it easy for them with the applications to monetize what they're having. So these kinds of communities, they're not big. That's probably just 50, 100, but there's a lot in Indonesia. And right now, what they're doing is very, very manual. So you ask like how come there's a lot of activities in TipTips in tier 2, tier 3, it's because of that, because of our team presence is there, and then we understand how they do it, and maybe they're doing it as well in some of the brands. So that helps really if we want to go into tier 2, tier 3, is to understand their behavior. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Thank you for sharing the video. Last but not least, because we have a very limited time, actually, last question to Santi. You tapped on it a bit that the customer in the Sulawesi actually also have the same preference with the customer in Jakarta. And I think the beauty of Sociolla is you have everything. So can you share a bit on the pattern of the middle class customer? Are they really that price sensitive, and how do you see like the behavior of this customer?
Currently, we have almost, I think, 400 plus brands on board on Sociolla, and it consists of a lot of different kind of brands. Right? There's a Korean brands, a lot of Korean brands, Japanese brand, US brand, and a lot of local brands as well. And this mix has been changing a lot since we started 10 years ago. And it's also influenced by the rise of social media and then all of these digital contents and all. And we see that, as I mentioned before, the segmentation is not based on the classes of the cities, but it's more like on the profile of the consumer. Like you can have preferences on local brands for makeup, but then like you want to have a Korean skincare brands. And we see that kind of like consistent, not only in the tier 1 city, but also in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And especially with COVID, right? There's a acceleration of content consumption, and people are getting to know more than just what they're exposed to in their cities, and they got to know like, what kind of new brands that's coming, and I think that's also helped the industry to grow even faster, like even for local brands to innovate even faster as well. So we see that in our platform.
Yeah, thanks Santi, and thanks all the panelists. Unfortunately, we don't have time for Q&A, but I'm sure like we learn a lot from this panel. We understand that middle classes is everywhere. It's not only in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and there is an immense opportunity for D2C brand and brands in Indonesia to tap into like the bigger market. So I hope it is a knowledgeable panel for you, and I hope that we can connect after this panel. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.